every moment you will find there's a broken heart, a tear is cried, a wish is made that never comes true.
I first met James at the Nashville Community Service Center, which is now the Charles Bass Correctional Complex. He came to the Nashville Community Service Center to complete a Bachelor's of Science degree at Tennessee State University. But he found out that he wasn't eligible to go over to TSU and finish his education. So he decided that, well, I'm just going to go back to Fort Pillow, where I came from. Charles Davis, we call him Pop Davis, saw James and say, "Hey James, I got something that you really will enjoy. It's called Don't Follow Me." So he brought James over to my office and we talked, and then we interviewed James and we put him in the Don't Follow Me organization. James was a dynamic speaker. He was actually the glue that held Don't Follow Me together.
James came into my life at a time when things was chaotic and confused. When I thought what was problems, James gave me something that I use to this very day. He told me that those were not problems, but they were just temporary inconveniences. And that's how I live my life now.
He gave me a job coming out of prison. And he put me on his wing, taught me how to be a man. One thing he used to say to me, I ain't have no class, and then he proceeded to show me how I didn't have any class. But I like to say that he played a big part in my life, and coming here to Hillcrest, and even with my start as far as economically, as well as teaching.
He was very supportive of the prison ministry. Whenever we would have our men's ministry meeting, he would always ask me what progress had been made or if there's anything they could do for prison ministry.
When I found you, I found somebody who cares. When I found you, found my most intimate prayer. When I found you, I found what every heart dreams of. When I found you, I found love.
When James got baptized in 1993, I was the head deaconess at that time. And I was so glad that he got baptized, not knowing that I was going to be his mother-in-law. After he and Louise got married, I had forgotten all about he was the person that I was influencing him getting baptized. And he said, I didn't remember that. And he said, well, you was the head deaconess at that time, Mom. But I had forgotten about him. But James was one of the best son-in-law, not one of the best, but he was a good son-in-law that I had.
You are the one, my only, forever.
When I found out that Louise was going to marry him, I was saying, who? She said, James White. You remember James White? And I said, no, I can't remember him. And she said, he got baptized, Mom, in the church. He said, you was the head deacon at that time. So I was very impressed with James, because James was always, he was just a nice young man. And I was very pleased and gave them my blessing of getting married. And I never...
If I labor and a God is gonna give me a crown, said he would, yeah. Crown.
Mr. White was a very inspirational part of us owning our first home.
He did. We actually purchased a foreclosure, and it was terrible. as most foreclosures are, and he came in, gutted it, made it brand new. So literally every time we walk into our home, we think of him, and we will miss him tremendously.
And he will always be in our hearts.
God bless you.
Well, someone recommended that James White would paint my house, and I was so scared about it, using a church member. But let me tell you, that man and his crew came to my house and painted my entire floor and put everything back exactly where it was before he started in one afternoon. I have never seen anything like it. I mean, the integrity of James White to do a job to the best of his ability, where you can have no complaints about it afterwards. I told all of Nashville that if you ever need a house or a room painted, that you need to call James White.
About his generosity and how he was always willing to chip in and help wherever it was needed.
He was always positive, always encouraged. I'm going to miss that about James.
He always found the time to talk to me about my children.
When I think of James White, I think of the word faithful. Shortly after he retired from teaching Sabbath school, he heard me soliciting for new teachers. He walked past, then he backed up. He said, "Give me the book. I'll take care of it." And he did.
I really appreciate the way James reached out to the community. He did a personal favor for me in hiring my nephew to work for him when he could find no other job. And he trained him, and those skills are still going forward with my nephew, and I appreciate it very much.
This is an acknowledgement of the family of James White. Miss White, I just wanted to let you know this is Sandra Eubanks, Evangelist Sandra Eubanks. To let you know that your husband I met doing to me being Sister Dudley's caregiver, and how inspiring your husband was and a hard worker. And he was always an encouragement to me, going through what he's going through and the things that I'm going through now with my husband. So I wanted to let you know that you have my sympathy and that God will strengthen you. God is right there with you and your family, and I pray in the name of Jesus that he will hold you all close to him in his arms as you go through the passing of your loved one. So you all be blessed, and may God continue to shine on you all in the name of Jesus. Bye-bye.
And I will remember the times that he used to come to our house for dinner every Sabbath at my mother's house.
Hey, James, I appreciate you. We work mostly in the same kind of field and stuff. I appreciate all the job references that you gave me, the ones that we referred each other to. I'd just like to say thank you, and may God bless you, and that you rest in peace. We love you, James.
He was always an inspiration as far as even when he wasn't feeling well, he was always committed to the Lord, and I just like to thank him for being that inspiration.
He always spoke to me and always smiled. Every time I would see him, he always would shake my hand. And I also noticed that with the young people that I told that he had passed away, they remembered him from Sabbath school, and that was the first thing that they said.
He was always so encouraging to me. He knew that I came back in town to finish my education, and whenever he saw me, he would always say, "How you doing, sister? Press on." So.
James, this is your friend, and I wish I had cooked that hot water cornbread and those beef ribs and turnip greens. But you know what? We'll sing and shout and eat of the fruit of the vine with the Lord. Miss you.
Hey, I'm Niecy. I'm James' baby sister. Right before James passed, he texted me to let me know that he was proud of me for having a positive attitude of what I'm facing. But reality, I have always been proud of James for his positive attitude. From the first moment he got sick, he never worried about it. He was always positive about his situation, his health. He said, Niecy, whatever God has in store for me, I'm at peace with it. And he passed, he was in peace with everything. And I just admire him for that. With his faith in God, he's a believer. And I live like that now, just trying to follow him.
Yeah, that was my brother. He was a very smart man. They had a, had a father behind him. And everything, just I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna tell you that. Go wrong, he always said, it's another battle to face. Keep on fighting, that's what I always try to do. Thank you.
Hello, I met James White with Lolita. And Lolita is my friend. I've been knowing Lolita since the 80s. And when she first met James, she was telling me about this wonderful guy she met, how much she loved him, and how she wanted me to meet him. They came to my condo in Brentwood, and I fell in love with James too. He's such a great person. He was such a remarkable man. He always talked about how positive Lolita was, and they shared a beautiful relationship together. And also, James was like a good friend. He was also a good friend to me when I moved to Michigan. When I moved to Michigan, I left all my friends here in Nashville, and when I would call Lolita and James, say, I'm really lonely, can you guys come to see me? He would say yes. They would drive 8 hours to Detroit just to visit me, and I always felt better when they left because they were just remarkable friends. In addition to that,
James told me that he was militant and hothead and served in the Navy. I told him that if I ever had to serve in the Army, I would want him on my left and my brother Joseph on the right, because they always had my back. I referred to him and he referred to me every time we saw one another as Bro Ham. He was a brother from another mother, and I loved him, and he always did whatever he said he was going to do. And he'll be missed.
James touched my life in a way that his life, he lived by the same prayer that I have tried to make a part of my life for a long time, which is that serenity prayer, that God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That was James.
He's impacted me in my life. I met him in Memphis. I was getting ready to marry his sister, and we was riding to the store. We had to go get something from the store, and he asked me, Herman, are you ready to get married? And right then I said, yeah. I said, man, I love your sister, and this is what I want to do. So we had a little conversation on the way to the store and on the way back, and had a little conversation while we was there. So he just talked to me and embedded some good information, gave that to me, and I took grasp to it and listened to him from then on. So he's really impacted my life a lot. As far as family and the Lord, he's always talked about that with me. And he's a good guy. I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss going to the football games with him. And just a good guy. I love him like my brother, like I've been.
I was always lifted by James's positive attitude and his words of gratitude towards God and his absolute belief in God's goodness. He also helped me to get my house ready for me to host my family for the best Thanksgiving ever.
Appreciate about Uncle James is the fact that he was always a protector of me. I have many of stories where I brought a boyfriend around and he's shaking them up a little, but I don't know if he ever knew, but I was always, it made me feel like I was special, like I was protected, and that I was always somebody who he always wanted to just keep close to his heart. So I just want to say that about Uncle James.
just wanted to say I really appreciate James and his consistency. The thing that I will always remember about James is he said that God tricked him into stopping smoking. And I remember James telling the story about how he would bring his cigarettes and lay them down every Sabbath. And the thing I admired was that James knew that he was struggling, but he also knew God was the solution to his struggle. And he never gave up on believing that God was going to save him from that situation. And I think more than that, God has saved him from sin. And just as soon as Jesus comes back, we'll see James again. God bless you, Hillcrest Church.